Criminal justice policy has been brought into the national dialogue in the past few years, as costs to incarcerate individuals are consuming larger percentages of city budgets and weighing heavy on taxpayers' wallets. With the price tag of approximately $30,000 a year to incarcerate an individual, many cities are working harder to not only reduce the prison population, but invest in an emerging field of reentry services.
We can't think about reentry and think about recidivism without dealing with the way that poverty plays into it. Because people need economic and other opportunities.
If it's for selfish reasons, I want to feel safe. So make sure this guy has a job and somewhere to stay so he's not in my house trying to take what I have.
Every year, around 20,000 citizens return to the city from prison or jail.
There's this public perception that there's so much help out there, yet we have no one to direct us to where the help is. You know, if there is help, and there's help, but the help is limited.
Locally, initiatives like the Reentry Coalition have developed a county-wide plan to reduce recidivism in Philadelphia by 25% over the next 5 years.
So the Reentry Coalition is a group of between 85 and 100 reentry stakeholders in Philadelphia. So that includes governmental partners from the local, state, and federal level, as well as nonprofit partners, academic partners, advocates, returning citizens increasingly. And the history is that reentry coalitions are forming increasingly across the country, really, as people recognize that there's such a need not only for reentry services, but to coordinate those services and those efforts.
If you don't know where those resources are, if you don't have someone to point you towards those resources, then you won't be successful.
One of the reasons why the coordination is so important, especially in reentry, is that the systems are really complex. So for example, people could be returning to Philadelphia from correctional custody from a federal facility or a state facility or a local facility. They could be under supervision on probation or parole at each of those levels, and those are separate agencies that have separate organizational structures and leadership and rules and systems and processes and resources. So at the very basic level, all returning citizens are not alike in that they're navigating through different systems.
We all need housing, we all need jobs, but what we have built up such a heavy criminal resume, I like to call it a resume, you know what I mean, that when we come home, we don't have nowhere to turn, and hence we go back to jail, because discouragement is setting, at least for me, it's been my experience that time and time again, I've come home and tried to do the right thing without no resources. You know, to my experience or to my knowledge, there are a lot of hidden resources that people don't know about.
It's been 1 year since the implementation of Home for Good, the citywide plan created to improve reentry coordination. The coalition has already witnessed stronger stakeholder engagement and improved communication across diverse sectors.
So in Home for Good, the goal of community engagement as a subcommittee is to think about, first and foremost, engaging returning citizens in the work and making sure that that's a part of everything that we do.
The Reentry Think Tank is an example of a program created to ensure that returning citizens' voices stay at the forefront of this conversation. Faith Bartley has been an active think tank member since 2014.
Oh, the think tank is a group of members who come together once a week to kind of gather resources and work with different groups like the United States Attorney's Office, you know, to come up with solutions as to what returning citizens need to thrive in the city and their communities to stop them from going to jail.
From that point on, we kind of worked together to figure out how can we, make sure that this opportunity to do the Reentry Think Tank as a pilot is as integrated into the coalition as possible so that it can inform the coalition, connect with whatever the coalition's doing, and also make the Reentry Think Tank more meaningful if we can figure out how to actualize that.
I never had a platform to speak about my reentry back into my community. I had no support, I had no resources, so it's very important for me to help get these resources to ex-offenders or formerly incarcerated people that's coming home, so it can break the cycle of recidivism so they stop going back to jail.
For PhillyCam Voices, I'm Laura Deutch.